whispers of a place beyond, a place called the beautiful world. There are whispers of a place beyond, a place called the beautiful world. There are whispers of a place beyond, a place called the beautiful world. Whispers of a place beyond, a place called the beautiful world. In the decorated country of a place called the beautiful world, there's a city called Stellene, which lies on the border between darkness and light. In the beautiful world, darkness and light are not simply states of energy. They are real, and they are always fighting. Stellene lies on the edge of light's power, and it must constantly fight to keep itself in twilight. In darkness, there are evil things which lurk just out of the corners of your eyes. The worst of these, the thing which everyone in Stellene fears and which no one dares mention, is the terrible black beast. It comes out of the darkness and takes people away, never to return.
Watch out, or you'll be gone to stay. See the man dressed all in night. His awful eyes are bright spotlights. His hands have come to take away. Watch out, or you'll be gone to stay.
How do the people of Stellene keep the darkness at bay? Someone very important, the King in Red, thought of that a long time ago, and knew that someday there would be a city that needed light more than it needed anything else. He put a very special fire in the top of a tower, a fire that he took from his own heart that would never go out, and would always make a beacon in the darkness. And that man was right. When people first came, they built their homes near the tower and were safe from the things that lurked in the darkness. However, cities don't stay small for very long. And as more built their homes, they were pushed further and further away from the tower. The Red King saw what had happened, and so he called together stray cats from all over the city. He gave them a very special task. Armed with a tiny piece of the king's fire, they would run throughout the city and light lamps. In return, each and every one would become a human for half the day. Some cats, of course, did not accept this bargain. After all, why would a cat want to lower itself to becoming a human? Some of the cats, however, knew that this was a very special gift indeed, and so they accepted the king's task.
Pray let me say of the lamplighter folks.
Those cats that accepted became the lamplighters and so lived their lives split in two. For half the day, the lamplighters became people, dressed all in red stripes and wearing hoods with tails, each tail bearing a tiny lantern that told the world who they were. During the other half, they became cats, running on the rooftops and in the secret highways of the city. Every time a lamp seemed to be burning low, mysteriously, a lamplighter would always be there to make it shine once more. From their tiny lamps, they would pull off a thin chunk of the fire itself, just as we would pull a piece of candy floss. Thus, Stellene was filled with hundreds of thousands of shimmering, shining lamps which lit up the city like a starry sky. Once a year, when their lanterns are exhausted and the city is at its darkest, the lamplighters gather in secret to make a journey to the source of their fire. Lamplighting cats from all across the city seem to heed a secret call in a language that only they understand. Yet, if you were to listen very closely, you might hear a faint whisper in the wind. This whispering is not in the language of humans, but rather the language of cats, and it is not only the lamplighter cats who hear it. Every cat in the city takes to the rooftops, singing in their own voice and filling the darkness with their music. In the midst of this feline carnival, the lamplighter cats plan in secret for their journey to the very center.
Oh, cats, dear cats, lamb cats of Stellene. Let us go to the fire, heed the call of the King. Raise up your tails and do not be seen, for we go to the source, to the fire of Stellene.
When all of Stellene finally goes to sleep, on that darkest night of the year, the lamplighter cats set out on their dangerous trip. In the quiet and the darkness, all the wicked things come out to creep. With their lantern-lit tails raised high, the lamplighter cats move swiftly and silently through the alleyways and across the rooftops of the city, all in single file and never once slowing or stopping. The danger is quite real. That is when they are most vulnerable. Their lanterns are quite low, and they must succeed in their task or the light would be lost. If one were to be awake and out in the streets on the long night, you may be extraordinarily lucky and see a silent row of lights moving in silence to the tower at the center. If you do not call to them or follow them. It is the lamplighter cats on their way to the fire of the king. Wish them safely on their journey, but do not stay to watch them go. Rather, get to your bed and dream of stars.